That was as exciting as a New Year's Eve countdown.
What do you want me to jump out of a cake, for Christ's sake?
I was waiting for the ball to drop.
Whoa, this is a family show. I can't go into that in public. Take it easy there. Take it easy there, buddy.
All right.
So as you may or may not know, thank you everybody for joining in. This is the Brooklyn Aquarium Society. We are here with the one and only Andrew Sandler, talking about his magnificent fish tank as we do second Friday of the month. So thank you everybody for coming. We got a few people in the room already. I'm still dropping a few links as reminders for everybody to get them set up. We'll see, get a few more people in the room here and get ourselves situated. So yeah, what's going on? What's going on in the clubs today? I don't know, Steve. We got to mention that the online auction
Right.
is in full swing.
Doesn't that end today?
17th.
The 17th.
Monday.
17th.
We have over 21 people so far, and it's still growing. So that's a good sign.
Watch out, eBay.
Exactly right.
We're gonna crash the internet with those 21 people.
Oh, you better believe it.
Well, you know,
Deep pockets.
we want to compensate for, you know, the lack of being able to meet in person. I know a lot of you guys look forward to the in-person meetings. It's something that we'll gravitate towards when we are able to do it. But until then, we're trying to make and facilitate everybody doing what we normally do in person, and that's exchanging goods, selling their fish. We got you guys breeding tons and tons of fish out there. Andrew's got probably more fish than all of us auctioning in one shot in that tank there. But yeah, we're getting the equipment out there. You guys that are breeding fish, check out the auction.fish site. I'll post it in the comments below. And as this night goes on, I will post a lot of the links that we're going to share at another time. And disclaimer, you may hear my son, because this is not the man cave. This is the men's cave now. Because once they get over 18, you know, you got to move into one half of the house and got to do one of these. So I'll be muting off and on. And I don't think I have anything else. Steve, anything else regarding current events or club news?
No. Hopefully our club gets back to normal pretty soon. And I know a lot of people out there missed the cake. You know,
That's right.
It's been rough. I think last was February last time, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Marie that brings that lovely cake. You can't take the milk home because it's virtual, Marie. You can't take virtual milk home.
That was good.
Anything else from the other?
A few more months we're back.
Yeah. It's looking up. Oh, actually, I did get a shot of news. Before I forget. Don of New York Gold brought it to my attention. We were talking to the New York Aquarium about this for a while, and they just brought it to our attention. People with proof of vaccination can get admission to the aquarium right now. I don't know if it's a free ticket because they're cheapest the day is long. Did I say that out loud? But you can get admission right now. Access to the aquarium is available. So I want to put that out there. As I get more information on that,
I've been there a couple of times
on the Facebook page. Yeah, I'll post. But they're saying that if you got proof of vaccination, they're going to give you a ticket, like give you entry. So I'm going to validate that to make sure how accurate.
We don't know if it's a free ticket or you still have to get the money and you get a ticket. It's the same thing.
Well, right? You know, so I'll check us out. Look out on the Brooklyn Aquarium Society or D from Brooklyn YouTube page, or this in the comments. As soon as I fact check that, I will put the information out there.
Right. I mean, I have been there. It's been open, not fully open. They do have some parts closed off and things, but you know, I have a yearly pass, so we just get up and go sometimes. You know, and we go there just to see what's going on and check it out. And
I was there not too long ago, also.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I was looking for a microbiologist to steal from you guys.
It's always good to have one of them in a closet somewhere.
Oh, you really need
right?
Scope guy to look through gill scrapes. Yeah, that's great stuff.
He's got him hanging upside down in this quarantine room right now. How you just pull him out like on a hanger. Which one do I want?
By the way, that whole microscope and identification, that's a whole nother skill level.
Yeah. Like identifying bacteria, protozoa.
Yep.
The obvious, Joe, before, you know, I can run off all day. Did you have anything to add before we get into the tank stuff?
No, we just like you said earlier, we're pushing the auction. trying to get that going. We got a great show for tonight, and second Friday of every month, we're going to have a virtual speaker. We've got that lined up through the summer, so or until we can start meeting in person again.
I know that's something
You know?
our club is not used to. We are doing July and August, especially because we're closed right now. So there's no holidays, there's no off things. We're just going to keep doing this until we can get back to the aquarium again, have normal meetings.
And we're getting there. I like to think that we're getting there.
I think we are.
But before we get into the most obvious, Mr. Sandler's tank, 17,000 gallons. Before we went live, we were discussing his very, very, very unique tang. And since we mentioned like fish and treatment of fish, I like to go into that before we talk about the tank itself. Quarantine and treatment of the fish. We were going back for a few weeks because very rare fish. I'm going to ask him about it because he has more information on the fish. But the first day I remember you posted the fish, you were like, this fish is sick. What is look at this? What kind of a protozoa or like outbreak does it look like? And when you talk about having somebody identify diseases, when you have an extremely valuable and rare fish, the emphasis on quarantine is big. We're guilty of it. You know, I know Steve and Joe and I, we all have multiple tanks. We're guilty. All of us at some point have just taken that fish and put that fish in the tank.
And that's come back to bite me one time. I've done it a few times, but I've never had a problem. And one time I lost 5 fish because of that, and I was so upset.
People in this hobby are very impulsive. Very.
You know what?
And
you buy something from the store that.
Yeah.
And the store tells you it's been quarantined, the fish, and you take a chance. He looks beautiful. There's nothing wrong with him. And the next day you see spots popping up and stuff. And you're like, what did I do? And then try to catch him. And I mean, again, not your tank, but I have a 180-gallon reef. Try to catch him in there.
Well, try catching him in that tank behind him.
Listen, I actually had a climb butterfly in one time that couldn't catch him. And I got so mad. I took my arrow from my bow and arrow, and I was trying to stab it to get it out of there. Well, you know how I got him is the next morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to go for work. I go downstairs. He's just like floating around. In the morning, they're like almost dormant. Scooped up to my other tank right away. But he was tearing chunks out of my LPS corals and stuff. I wanted to dive in the tank.
Dude, I had a neon damsel that I left the lights on 2 o'clock in the morning to see that he was the one biting coral down to the nub. I had to get everything traps. I had to get an ice fishing rod in the smallest hook I could possibly find.
I've set up traps like that too, and
catch him and pull him out. He was biting them down to the plug, and I was like, who would even imagine that? But quarantining, watching these animals is like so key, and so many of us jump on an impulse. How did you quarantine that fish, and what was that fish?
So that fish was supposedly the first of its kind ever pulled from the ocean, which was a Desjardini koi albino freak of nature. Okay, most of them are koi tangs. This one was definitely a sailfin hybrid or something of that nature. Actually, can you see what's coming in right now? See him?
Oh, see him? And he looks like a powder blue, but that's it. See the black stripe on the bottom?
Yeah.
Now, when we go to the mobile cam, we'll probably get a better shot.
So, in any event, sailfin tangs are pretty hardy fish. Like, I didn't expect any issue with this guy. We put him a couple of weeks of copper, and everything was going according to plan. I think he had already was about to get prosied, and all of a sudden I look at his fin, and there's a blood vessel on his pectoral fin, and like lightning bolt pectoral, and going into his gill plate. And then the next day I look at it, his gill plate's even redder, and I'm like, this is probably not good.
It looked bad. In that picture, it looked bad.
Did you want to dive in the tank to catch him, or?
So I assumed it was a septicemia blood infection. Whether he got it because he hurt himself, or he got it, and it was unclear exactly what caused it. And you know, I got a big arsenal here. Okay, I got all sorts of antibiotics, from doxy, erythro, all the sulfur drugs, Cipro, Canna, Nitro, every cocktail, you know, the super duper cocktail. I wanted to throw the super duper cocktail at him, which was, in my opinion, a combination of nitrofurazone, Canaplex, and Metro.
So you were quarantined. He wasn't in the big tank.
Yeah, he was quarantined.
Oh, okay, okay. I
He was
misunderstood you. I
sailing
thought,
through
okay.
quarantine, and then oops. And so I threw that at him for a couple of days, and I didn't see a difference really. So of course, then I start getting nervous and thinking Baytril, which is sort of the next step. And even though I'm not exactly comfortable giving Baytril injections, I know a vet that comes over. He's actually a koi pond guy. And he comes over, and he'll come over every other 48 hours and inject the fish with a Baytril injection. And I've saved a few fish this way. And but like, who wants to take out a fish like a big, fancy, one-of-a-kind fish and get injected? Like, that's not what I really wanted to do. So you have some conversations with other vets and so forth. And one particular vet from one of the aquariums I got put in touch with, he said, listen, I want you to crush up the dose, I don't know, 60 milligrams or 30 milligrams per liter of ciprofloxacin. I don't care whether you crush it or you got the capsule, and give him a 2-hour bath in it. I want you to do it every 48 hours and repeat just for 3-4 times. And I'm like, I'm writing this stuff down. You see Bobby Humblefish has got this Cipro bath on there, but the difference is the vet's telling me why it's going to work mathematically. Like, that Cipro in the bath goes into the bloodstream through the anus, and you know, he's got proof that it goes into the bloodstream, and you're wasting your time with the Canna, blah, 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 blah. And sure enough, after a few Cipro baths, it was like we look at the fish 2 days later and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we stopped. I can't believe it's getting better.
That fish, I thought you lost. I thought you were going to lose him. I thought that vessel looked like the mark on Frankenstein.
Yeah,
it was so pronounced. You could see it from, but that is why, thank God. Imagine if that fish was in his main tank. First, you'd have to catch it. And right. God knows how many fish.
How do you catch a fish in that tank?
Well, there's 3 ways. Way number 1 is if it's healthy and eating, you know, those crab traps that fold flat, right. And then you pull a rope and you get a few. Hope you get the right one.
Right. We've all made traps of some sort, yeah.
The second way is one diver goes in with a few different nets and makes some blocks off, and the third way is really you need 2 divers, because the fish are way fast and they wrap around, you know, they whip around way faster than you can move in the water. So you need 2 guys to close in and trap them in a rock pile or something with big nets. That's the way you do it.
It's like that show. Remember that show, Catch That Pigeon? He's like Dick Dastardly, and you got the guy building contraptions trying to catch the bird.
That.
Yeah. That's for your older fans out there. The other people are like, what the heck is he talking about?
You know, you're talking about, like you said, a one-of-a-kind fish. It's not like you had a $1.99 guppy and you say, hey, it looks good, flush the ball so nothing else gets sick. You know, I've done that with fish over the years, you know. I did it with an African cichlid not too long ago. He had a worm on his head, and I says, oh, my God, this doesn't look good. Got him out of the tank before he got sick, you know. But when you get something like this, you do what you got to do. You try to save it.
One thing about a tank like this is the word patience. It gets very ingrained in you because you can't turn a Titanic that quickly before it hits the iceberg, okay? So everything takes like 3 times longer than you expected.
Yeah.
So when you get a fish in or something exciting, it's very easy to say, I'll see you in 45 days.
Yeah.
I waited 4, 5 years, 6 years for this. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So you learn that the whole thing is patience, not to get excited. And in a fish like that, I was going to make sure it didn't leave the hospital or quarantine until I was 100% sure. And we gave it several Cipro baths, waited, then threw Canna at it again, then restarted the Cipro baths. Until one point, I looked at him. I said, "You're ready. You're ready to go now."
How long did it take altogether?
How long did it take? You had to have that in there almost a month.
2.
2 months. Okay.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Almost 3.
So now, what are the dimensions of this tank? This masterpiece? Like,
So
we know it's big.
it's big. Yeah, it depends where you take the measurements from, but we think
It's aquarium big.
We think it's 16 by 17 by 9 feet,
Oh,
and 2 of the 9 is below grade.
Below grade.
So
Yeah,
when
I saw that.
stand in
Yeah.
the tank, it's 7.
I was gonna share a video that you shared. I didn't pull it up because we were talking earlier, and I should have been working. I was gonna share a video of Andrew doing the water change, and it was like 4,000 gallons and change water
Oh my God.
change. I'm lazy doing a 30-gallon water
You
change.
know what the sick thing is, guys? That was an afterthought to even film that. I'm so used to this as a regular weekly occurrence kind of thing. It doesn't even like faze me. I'm sitting there working while this is going on, and I just happened to. It looked a little lower than average, like the water.
It was like it was like
Yeah, it was a big one.
2
It was a
feet
big
low.
one. So
It was like
checked
2
it
feet
out.
low below the lid, and I was like,
Yeah.
Christ,
Yeah, we killed
that's
it
like
all.
my water
4,000
change.
gallons. You think?
That's my water change for life. For life.
How many of us can walk into an aquarium and go, "Nah, my tank's bigger than that"?
Yeah, it was a last minute film thing. Like I don't even know why I did it, because it literally happens all the time here. But when I posted it, people were like,
"Oh," we're like,
Well,
"Oh."
Obviously, it's not your first tank. You've had tanks before, and you built up to this. You didn't start at a 17,000 gallon tank, I'm sure, right?
well, the story behind it is basically, I built a house with a couple of 1,000-gallon custom tanks, and within less than a couple of years, the marriage blew up, and I had
What happened?
The marriage blew up. Marriage blew up as the tanks were maturing, so I never got a chance, you know. So when I found a second wife and did a second life, I went a little too deep the second time. I wanted to make up for what I lost in time and whatever,
and then
I
some.
went a little too crazy.
Wow.
And I had a second wife that allowed it.
It's not even what it would cost to build this tank, but just the cost of what to maintain this tank, between the water tank, the electric, changing lights, whatever else, and pumps that got to be changed once in a while, and the maintenance. I'm sure to clean. I'm sure you don't dive in there yourself and clean every day, right? Right. So
You basically have allocated the 4 main expenses that we identify, which are basically materials and deliveries of food and basic supplies. I mean, when I order Roafos, I have to order it by like it comes in buckets, and I order 20 buckets at a time, because
you can go through Roafos.
10 of it.
so it costs you more than feeding your family, probably.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. That's a big expensive dinner, the Roafos.
You can go through that Roafos. It doesn't last very long, man. I was using that for a while. But you burn through it. Yeah. I can imagine at the rate you're burning through it.
So there's that expense. There's the electricity, which you really don't know, other than you knew what the house was costing you about prior to the tank turning on, and then you have the X number, and the difference must be the tanks. Okay, so that's another number. The salt bill is just a whole nother thing in its entirety. I think we get delivered, how many gallons? 15, 20,000 a month, maybe? Yeah. Maybe 20,000 gallons of salt a month. So you guys know what salt costs per gallon. You don't need to multiply that out.
Well, I said, Steve, don't mention it. He'll buy it all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I got
listen,
multiple devices.
I was excited yesterday when I saw Petco had 160,000 gallons, 160 gallons for $23, I think it was, which is ridiculous. That was so cheap. And right away, I'm ordering a couple of buckets because I'm moving my tanks around. I know I'm going to need some.
Listen,
but I can't even imagine.
In some of our what could go wrong scenarios that we run, like Skynet fails and the computer fails, and better wake me up when it fails, and all those things, because there's a lot of computer code in this thing. One of our scares was we rely a lot on Bob Stark and ESV. And what happens if something happens there? Not a salt. That's
so just your circulating pumps. What kind of pumps you have recirculating from your sump to your main tank? Or?
They're massive 10 horsepower.
10 horsepower.
Pumps, 10 horsepower, and there's 7 of them, and they rotate.
7.
7.
Wow. 7.
Maybe 2 of them.
10 horsepower.
70 horsepower of pumps. Oh my gosh. Oh my wow. That's unbelievable.
The tank flows through exactly 13. The computer says this. 1,300 gallons per minute is flowing through.
Okay.
So in a few minutes, you can have a pretty big disaster downstairs in floods. And we've had it already early on. Skimmer overflows and all those things.
Now, somebody asked a question. I don't know. Paul asked, have you ever found lymphosis on your fish in your tank? Or do you worry about things like that, like on the fish that are already in your tank?
Yelson's here. We find some things on some fish that look occasionally suspicious, that like we worry about, whatever. But I have not seen one case of lymph.
Thank goodness.
Not one yet. Now, it might have to do with the 300,000 microjoules of UV.
Whoa. Whoa.
Right. So
that's quite a treatment.
Yeah, we're running 800 gallons per minute through 3,500 watts.
3,500? Yeah, that's like I installed a 3,000 watt in a wholesale place actually. One time that thing is 7 foot long, and it's a massive UV. I think that UV was like.
Frankly, when you have that much power and juice, I think it allows for more mistakes and things getting through. And
with that more power.
What's that?
With more power, you say?
Yeah, because it's actually doing something. It actually, if you look under what it takes to kill ick, velvet, these diseases, usually it's between 150,000 and 400,000 microjoules. So if you're not getting that, all you're doing is
you're not doing nothing.
A little control here and there. This might be zapping it.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that people do wrong with a UV is to run the water through too fast. When you're not getting the contact time. And I see that all the time. They'll put a big pump. They're just like flushing through. It's doing nothing.
I did that the first time.
There is a ratio that the guys like to use.
Yes.
And it's wattage and the time going through. It's an important number.
I swear by the UVs. A little while ago, my pond, the UV burnt out. Not the bowl, but the ballast actually burned out. And I'm wondering why. Usually when I turn my pond on, it clears up in 3 days. This thing's going a week now, and I'm still not clear. I go to look, and the UV, sure enough, the thing was burnt. I put a new one on, and again, a couple of days, it clears it up.
Right. Yeah.
And then you never really know. You never really know when it burns out.
I'm sure of this, but the other day, our UV actually had a little drip, and it burned out a couple of the caps. And the things, and there was a little smoke smell in the morning. It's one of the what could go wrong nightmare scenarios, because you can't get the PLC to tell you that a UV bulb is out. You can't do that really. So
Somebody needs to develop
we
that,
turned the
because
UV
that
off
is one
to
thing.
fix. It took 6
Yeah.
hours to fix, okay? In that 6 hours, I don't know if I'm nuts or we started to see some things on the fish that we didn't like in that 6 hours. Like there was something not being zapped. And we turned the
Could
UV
be,
back
yeah.
on, and a day or two later, gone. So
How would you know?
I'm convinced there's something going on there. Whether it's great for corals or not, like that's a whole different story.
Yeah, I was always on the fence, but I ran it with the UV. But like you said, the first probably couple of months, I probably flew that water through there. So
Yeah,
there was really
yeah.
no guide. Like when you buy a lot, and especially if you don't buy a really good UV device, people go on Amazon and buy some cheap one. They don't tell you anything. You
Yes.
just put it on your tank.
Yeah.
You don't know what flow to put on. You don't know how many watts it is, and
I've even
you
had-
never know. You never know
even-
if the bulb burns. That's
Right.
one thing I wish they would invent, like a notification of when the bulb.
Well,
Yeah,
some of them,
goes
like
down.
the Aqua C, the front glows. You can see it. Like on my palm, I mean, it's a little tiny eye. You got to put your eye there to look to see. There's no way you're seeing it unless you notice. The Aqua C, I walk in my fish room, I see right away if it's on or not. You can see that right away. Yeah, Aqua Ultraviolet. I'm sorry, Aqua Ultraviolet.
When we do emergency crisis management practice in this house, one of the big fears. Forget about flood. We're not afraid of that. We're afraid of fire from the UV. That's one of the scariest things when they're powerful. They can smoke and go.
Well, especially like I said, somebody else has one pump on their tank. When like you said, you have a bunch of these 10 horsepower pumps.
Yep.
I mean, and again, I'm sure that's just part of it. Your lighting and everything else. And you're going on a massive scale like this.
Yep.
It's a whole nother story. People think, okay, it's a bigger tank. No, that's not just it. It's more than just a big tank.
Yeah.
There's just a lot behind the scenes that it takes to keep that running.
So
and I'm guessing it's acrylic, right?
Yeah, it's 4-inch acrylic.
How thick is that?
4 inch. 4 inch.
Scratching here and there.
4
We'll have to
inch?
probably buff it out every couple of years.
Wow.
More than bulletproof.
It is, right?
Yeah, because I
would think 4 inch.
2 inch.
2 is like
2 1/4, 2 something is bulletproof.
Well, that's good to know.
You want? Let me know.
What kind of enemies do you have?
You want to give it a shot?
Jump in
When
the
we come
tank,
by?
everybody! Jump in the tank.
It's more like your wife comes after you with the submachine gun. Then you know you got an issue.
That's the scary one.
But you're right about the UV. I had turned my UV off. I was doing something with my pond, and I turned the UV off. And I had mentioned that to Steve, and I came out and I noticed that on the gill plates of my butterfly koi, the biggest one, the most expensive one, it has all these like, I don't know, issues with it. It had like scabs and this and that. I said, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
It's, and it died. It died today. I'm just.
It's pretty hard to flush
Because
that,
the
right?
UV was off?
Yeah, it was 18 inches long, and she was pregnant. Her belly was big, so. Yeah. Bad mistake.
UV off. I have anxiety. I get anxiety. I just get it. There are certain things like the skimmer wants to go for 5 days. I don't have any anxiety.
Yeah. People don't realize
you
how
didn't try to
important
flush
it
that,
is.
Joe, did you?
No, 18 inches, got to weigh several pounds. Nah, I don't think it's gonna work.
Listen, I tell you a quick story. The other day, I'm talking to this guy, an Asian guy that owns a laundromat, and he said he had an arowana one. He even forgot the names, but I had the golden one. He says I got, and he said I bought it small, and it got about 2 feet. And I had it in my tank, and one day I did the water change, and I threw cold water in there. He died in a few days. Wow. I was so upset. He goes, I saved that fish for 4 years in my freezer. I said, 4 years. Your wife let you put that in the freezer? He goes, no, I put it all the way in the back and put everything in front. She didn't know. He tells me.
4 years. Next to the slice of wedding cake.
I had about 4 or 5 years before I got rid of it. Yeah, next to the wedding cake from then, right?
Listen, I still keep 4 dead peppermint angels frozen in my freezer.
Oh man, peppermint angels.
Wow.
Well, like I know our buddy out west. I know I know Dave B out west has some beautiful peppermint. What's it, peppermint? He has a
No, he
beautiful
has
selection.
peppermints.
Not the he has
what did
he
have?
brought him outside. It was I forgot the name of the damn
Yeah.
thing now.
Forget
Butterfly. No, butterflies, I think there were.
Forget what he had out there.
But I'm like, Jesus, if one dies in the back of his old tank, the one the seams went out, how the hell can you get it out? Like, it's so like some of these tanks are so densely populated. Like, I know if a fish dies in your tank, a lot of us have tanks. Sometimes the fish is just missing. You know, it's like you must have a 1,000 fish in there. You might not even
I don't know
know.
about 1,000, but we lost track with the small gobies and wrasses and amphias. We lost track.
Yeah, you
But
might not see a fish for months.
We think it's over 500. So
Yeah, you might not
Wow.
see a fish for months.
Well,
But he's
because like
in there.
me and you go to the store, we go, "That's a nice goby." He goes, "I'll take a dozen."
I have to buy them like that. A lot of times I order them from Barnett or even Kevin at Divers Den, where it'd be like, I need 20. I don't. It's either 20 or 0. I don't want 2 or 5.
Yeah.
Um.
Certain fish look really nice in schools and
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they,
yeah,
and
great.
nothing like a school of yellow tangs and things,
Very, very different. Like there's a whole thing about powder blues. Everybody's got problem with powder blue tanks.
That was the one I had the problem with.
Hang out together and play and on the swing every day.
Yeah.
So now
that's the fish that I didn't quarantine, the powder blue tang, and I put them in there, and I lost 5 or 6 good fish for that.
Oh yeah.
Lost the hippo and the yellow tang, and
but like before we get to setting up the mobile tank, because people are already asking, let's show the tank, like let's go to the mobile cam. Like, has there been a fish that you just noticed was missing? Like, yo, this fish, I haven't seen this fish.
how do you keep track of that many fish?
What happened? What happens? Thank God, nothing that whoa, show the tank. Someone wrote. I'll show it. What happens is, all the expensive ones, knock on wood, that we look for every morning, whatever, nothing's been a problem.
Thank goodness.
Just happens is you look at the tank 6 months later, right? 7 months later, and you're like, didn't we have 4 copper bands, not 2? That's
right.
Yeah.
And but then it may turn up a month later. Oh, okay. Yeah, 4, 5. Now I have it.
Andrew, do you ever play with the lighting there to try to get your fish to spawn, breed in the tank?
They breed all the time.
Wow.
Every day we see it, and it always happens in the evening as the light goes down, or early morning. We see a lot of the triggers in the sand. The tank, believe it or not, what time is it now? It's 8:03. I actually extended the computer 2 hours for this conference thing, and so that the lights wouldn't be going down on us at 8 o'clock. But right around this time, it's usually one white light, the rest blue, and as we start seeing spawning, the bandits spawn in the evening, the Bellis angels and stuff like that spawn in the evening.
Imagine if he could catch those.
Triggers like the morning. They're frisky.
Like the rest of mankind. and not only that, but if you guys don't know, I'm a big fan of Andrew's music videos. Every Friday night he puts these music videos where like the walk around of his tank, and he had like ABBA one time, Springsteen another time, like
the old stuff.
Like,
okay.
He'll have like the 80s stuff on there.
Yeah, well, now I have become people's weekend DJ.
The weekend DJ.
Yeah, and the DJ skills are actually more important than the fish skills now, and choosing the song.
Really?
And
Using the
so,
song.
I've been doing this now. It's a year and a half, and on the disco side, we're actually running out of material, so I'm a little nervous about that. Still have plenty of rock.
Well, did you have like ABBA on there?
I didn't have ABBA, but I thought that was a little trite. But it's on the list, D. It's on the list. I haven't even done a tribute to Donna Summer yet. There's still
Okay.
stuff to do.
Tribute to Donna Summer.
Yeah, there's still stuff to do, but in my spare time, I spend a lot of time on YouTube looking at the top 100 songs of the 70s and 80s each year. And then it's like, oh my God, this is a great idea.
Oh, interesting.
And so I don't know. Do you want me to switch to the mobile cam, D?
Make sure you can get into that link, and when you're ready, I'll pull it up here.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I was sending requests because a few nights I had to work Friday, and I'm like, well, damn, I'm at work, and then I'll see his videos pop up.
Do you want me to go to the mobile cam now, or you want to take questions first? What do you want to do?
I can do
go
it
to
at
the
the
cam
same
first,
time.
take questions after.
All right, hold on. I am going to go to the mobile cam.
Because I'm sure we'll get questions as we go around.
Sure.
I got the club stream going, the Facebook page stream going. My eyes are burned. I need to wear my glasses. Steve, next time I will be wearing my glasses.
I have to now.
I have the light in my face. Oh, man.
One question I definitely got to ask before we go, before the other night, I'm not going to forget, is the humidity in the house with that much water, the salt and the humidity. How do you control that?
We have these massive Dectron units that suck the humidity out of the air in each room. And the condensers are outside blowing all the time.
Dectron. We use that in one of our computer labs. We use that in the computer labs. Dectron.
Industrial gear.
Yeah.
So
And the pan and the pan on that must be massive.
The pans on those?
Like that as pumping the water. That's pumping the water. It's pumping straight to your drain then.
It goes right to the condenser outside, I think.
Yeah. Oh, man. Because that's salt water.
That's salt, yeah.
No, that's fresh water.
No,
it's going to evaporate fresh water.
No, salt doesn't evaporate. Salt doesn't evaporate.
Only
fresh water evaporates. That's one of the mistakes that people make sometimes. When they top off, they put salt water back in. We just had one person ask us that question. He wants to cylinder keep going up and up.
Don't get me started.
And then he told me what he did, and I was like, okay. Well, you don't know if you're new to the hobby or you never had salt before. It's people don't realize that. Only thing that evaporates is clean, clear water. All the other stuff stays in there. It's like the same thing when people tell you, I don't do water changes. I got a lot of evaporation. No, not the same. Yeah. Not the same.
All right, D, how do I get that link for the mobile link again and paste that?
It should still be copied, so you can just paste it back into Google Chrome again.
Which one is it?
The last one I just sent. Hold on, let me make sure. The last one I sent. Let me jump out of one of these pages.
Okay, I got it.
And it'll take you to the broadcast room.
Copy.
See,
okay.
for all of you guys out there with tanks, your problems are minuscule.
You're right. Listen, I'm moving right now.
Multiply your problem.
I moved to 150. I'm moving my 60 and my 180 salt, and I'm having a heart attack just moving that. Like I can't even imagine. Like I said, there's nothing compared to this.
Multiply your problems by how many? About 10,000.
But there's still problems.
It's not even, people, the first thing people ask, and people how much is this? How much? It doesn't even matter how much. I watch shows like Tanked and Cribs, and those are like awesome shows, and people, it can be easy to set up a system. Maintaining that system, they never show you. Yes. They never show you
because they don't do maintenance those places. They give it up to somebody else.
Well, shout out to the crews that do tank and fish tankings, all of them. I want to see a show called Maintaining the fish tank, because no one would believe it.
I won't say what show, but the best is one time I saw a show where they set up a 700-gallon tank and they put a lifeguard filter on it. There's no way. They put a lifeguard cartridge filter on a 700-gallon tank above a kid's bed.
And they expected that to do what?
Of course not.
Nah, it's the same
Sorry.
thing it's telling you before, but the same thing he went, go through Chrome, the same way it did before. Heather says it's stress over 65 gallon. We stress over 65
I
gallon.
don't know why I can't open it. Well, somehow the mobile thing's not working, so I may take this and carry
Wait,
it.
what is it? What is it telling you?
It's telling me.
Because we just did it, so we know it works.
Yeah, I know.
You want me to send you the link again?
Is it the link for this thing,
For-
or is it just
for
something
stream-
different?
No, it's the link for StreamYard.
Yeah, I know. It's not taking
So
it.
is it telling you Safari
Chrome's
again?
not taking it. Safari's not taking it now. Yeah.
Hold on, I'll send it. I'll send you an invite. Give me a second. I got like 5 screens going. I'm gonna send, invite the guest, copy, boom, jump. See how? Are you looking at which one are you looking at? Messenger? I'll send it in Messenger.
Which one am I looking at? I don't. What are you sending me in Messenger?
I'll send it to you in Messenger.
Okay.
Switch to Messenger. Okay. I love these smartphones because it's trying to figure out what I'm doing. It just sent me a message. Oh, do you want me to connect the Messenger? No, I don't want you to do that. I'm already doing it. The smarter the phones get, the dumber we get.
Some of us need it.
Okay, I got the link. Hold on. Yeah, that's
Now-
the link. That's the link. Copy the link, and now I want to go to. It doesn't want to open it.
Open it in Chrome and paste it in the search browser in the browser itself, not in the search bar.
I see. Okay, let me see. In the browser itself.
Like in the line where that browser line.
Okay, hold on. Chrome.
So are you getting a tank to replace that one, Steve, or are you just getting rid of
No,
that one
no,
tank?
I got rid of the 150. Do 60 and the 180. I have to move to the other wall, break my
Oh.
floors open, fix my pipes, tile it, and then put them back.
Oh.
So I just picked up a 100-gallon horse trough today from Rubbermaid, and I got a couple of 40 gallons and trying to start transferring some all my stuff over. I took the
Now,
60 apart today. That was enough work.
Somebody told me to order another trough through Tractor Supply, have it delivered to the place on Nostrand. Ace
That's right.
Hardware.
It's not me. I'm the one that
I
told
didn't-
you.
Oh, you told me. Okay, see,
Yes.
I'm getting old, hanging around you
Yes.
guys.
I
I'm
picked it up
forgetting stuff.
today. Great. You walk right in, put it up, they throw it right in your car, you pull away.
How long did it take you to get?
I ordered it 3-4 days ago.
Oh,
They got
that's
it pretty
beautiful.
quick. Yeah, they give you a date, and then they send you a text or an email when it's time to pick it up.
Okay.
And it was
I think I'm good.
Ace
Hold on.
Hardware.
I think I'm good.
So that's a quick
Wow.
tip for you guys. I tell you, 2 of my
There you go.
outside containers, Joe, split. I'm so pissed off.
Rubbermaid is a nice heavy container.
The studio.
Okay, I'm picking it up. Hold on,
Yep.
I'm pulling up the link here. All right, I'm gonna mute your camera and go to the mobile Andrew cam.
Okay.
We are in mobile mode. So I'm gonna switch you to the main event.
Oh, there you go. That looks good.
See it?
Yep.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now I could see me being hot and just swimming in that tank. like I mean, now do you have that and then still want a pool? Like,
Wow.
oh, he turned the laptop around too.
No, I didn't. But you want me to do that?
No, I'm seeing 2 pictures. So I see somebody
are?
else's. I see
we're seeing
somebody
one.
else's. No, I could see all of you, so I'm seeing 2 pictures.
Oh.
I see another one. I can switch between the views. That one, this one is moving.
Okay.
And you got pretty good color on the
Yeah.
phone. It's pretty good. The
Yeah.
Rockscape is impressive. Can I just say that, Steve? The Rockscape.
Yep. Now,
Well,
is this live rock or just base rock, Andrew?
That's 20,000 pounds of Marco rock with fiberglass rods and a lot of cement.
Right.
Whew.
Along with we've added some live rock along the way.
And what's on the bottom? What do you have? Sand on the bottom?
Yeah, well, the bottom is made of honeycomb, like fiberglass, and there's sand on the bottom with tons of gobies, sand gobies, and
Right.
Asarius
Right.
snails, and so the sand stays pretty clean.
Yep.
Wow.
Bella gobies, they breed too in here.
The Bella Gobies.
Wow.
There's a watchman right there, clean the sand.
So, man, when you do your water change and clean, do you vacuum your sand or no?
Not yet, but the theory is going to be. I think what we'll do is
We were talking about that too.
every year and a half, we'll figure it out. We'll siphon up quarter of the sand bed, replace, and then do it like that.
Okay.
Now we got a question here while you're going around the tank.
Oh, it's curved glass
NC4,
there too?
yeah, NC474 says, you have any tips on going through the ugly phase? Oh, there's that tank just swam by,
Yeah,
y'all.
saw it.
Now that
Beautiful.
is a koi fin Jesardini sailfin tang or something close to that. I've never.
Which, if it's the first one, he can call anything he wants.
Nobody's ever seen this before in captivity.
One of a kind.
You can
So
make up
far-
a name then.
It's the Andrew tang.
Right.
You can call it Filbert.
I don't know
Beautiful.
I don't know
Wow.
what it is about the
Wow.
Maldives. Like, I don't know whether they had a Chernobyl accident or whatever, but somehow they're catching all these crazy tangs there.
Now, how did you go through the ugly phase of that tank? Like, did you get like the whole algae outbreak and all of that stuff?
It's still the rock is actually still on the brown side. And we think the reason really was we put the sand in late, and we had a period we were using diatom powder, so we got some extra silicate in the tank and in the water. And frankly, that's what happens anyway. And we there's probably 500 to 1,000 urchins, probably 1,000 turbo snails, and it still needs more.
Wow.
But we quarantine them for 6 weeks anyway. So, like, when you get a few hundred in, it takes up a lot of the room. It's like a whole project.
You quarantine your inverts too?
I do. I don't fool around.
You can't afford to take a chance.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Even though there's evidence that suggests that on urchins, velvet and ick, whatever, can't stick and can't land. And then I would call the author of the articles or Bobby. I'm like, is that spiny urchins or soft urchins? And then he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, I'm taking a chance.
That's a good point.
Now you're saying about quarantine. Do you medicate anything, or you just keep them separate for a couple of weeks?
Oh no, I nuke them. We medicate heavily.
What you guys haven't seen is
Even on
his
your
fish
inverts?
room.
Oh no, inverts just 6 weeks and just free of fish.
Okay.
You want to see that quarantine system?
That's the tank. We haven't gone to the fish room yet.
All right, I'm gonna walk to the fish room.
We just walked past more chemicals than I bought in my
You
life.
guys see the skimmers?
Whoa.
Well, it looks like the back of an aquarium.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
A few of us have been back there, and we see, yeah.
We're using dual MRCs.
Wow.
And here's the fish room with coral quarantine here. And there are 4 systems here. 1, 2. This one's being dried because we don't need it now, so we like to dry it and sterilize it. 2. And this system 3 and 4 is a 1,000-gallon system. And there are fish being quarantined in here with Ozzy to the main system here. And we'll grow coral in here to make sure that it grows and it's not just the fish or the lights that are a problem. And then in the sub-basement, that I take it down to, but it's pretty noisy. I'll never hear you there anyway. Whole engine room.
Wow.
This is our lab, and we're going to be getting an ICP machine right here. So I'll be able to run my own ICP anytime I want. We'll get out of the manual testing. What's that?
You got a propane patio heater in there.
Yeah. You know, for the ICP
I saw that go by. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's how he used to think.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So actually,
okay, I need the gym
back here.
Awesome. So, okay, Heather asks, oh, wait, did I mute myself? Okay. Heather, let me unmute you because you're back on stationary. Okay, you're back on. Heather asks what an ICP test is. The ICP tests are the tests that we usually send away
Heather.
for. That's like the industrial grade, scientific lab grade. That is a lab grade testing machine that tests for all of your chemical makeup. Your, what is it? Iodine, chemical, sulfur, magnesium. Every element.
Basically a measurement. And while it may not be the most accurate when you start talking about parts per billion, it gives you a good enough base case to know if something doesn't look right, your potassium or something like that. That's where these things really do great things. Heavy metals, if you have tin or aluminum in the tank from buildup of rust or whatever.
Oh, these guys are funny. 160 says she likes the shirt. I think I think I could afford the t-shirt. The t-shirt. They said I like the t-shirt. I can afford that one.
It's a Lionel Richie t-shirt.
Oh, wait a minute. Does that qualify? Do we have any Lionel Richie disco that can qualify in the disco music
I haven't
category?
done him yet either. I haven't done him or the Commodores. He's on my mind. He's just on TV too much now, right?
Yeah, I don't like him on the TV show. I don't know.
I don't like it either.
I don't know. I like Lionel Richie. It's something that I don't know.
I understand.
I like Commodore's Lionel Richie. It was like Big Luther and Skinny Luther Vandross. Remember, you had Big Luther and then you had Skinny Luther. And everybody said they like Big Luther, even though you
don't like commercial Richie.
There you go. That's the more appropriate way of putting it. He's like,
He was very popular in the days with the Commodores.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So now, okay, Heather asks, shout out Heather, what's your favorite fish and why? No favorite fish? Can't answer that.
In this day and age, I can't. I have to love all my kids the same. I won't single stuff out. The world's too crazy. You never know who you might upset.
Even though you have a favorite kid, you just won't say it.
I won't say it.
Well, somebody's got to give you water when you get old, so you don't want to pick
you know
the
what?
wrong
I
one.
think the whole thing is the combination of all the fish together what gives you the thrill and loving the tank and stuff. It's not like you just walk in and say, "Oh, I like that fish, but I don't like the rest." You're in there because you like them all.
It's just as much as I love my fish. That you can never get ever again. Right? Picasso, he's my favorite. That's a good favorite. That's a good favorite.
My new favorite is the one you just got. That one is it's just like you say, we get impulsive. If we see something in the store that captivates us, it's like, oh man, that would look great if I had it in my house. It's just that new shiny penny.
Yeah, it's a new shiny toy.
So tell us a little more about the system. What kind of lights you got on this now? What's lighting this?
They're actually the commercial max spec. I'm running 13 fixtures back there. Most of them are 500 watt each.
What, metal halogens or?
No,
the max specs. The max specs.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay.
And there's two 1,000 floods on the front.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember
when we
looked
measure
at the
PAR and light intensity, it's not a depth issue that we can punch through at all. It's not that. It's the vertical surfaces that are vertical that you can't light up unless you get the right angle in on.
Right.
And so a lot of it was light placement as opposed to worrying about that. And they're 14K and 20K. And I know they work only because Joe used them at the aquarium in Long Island.
Yeah, I was gonna say he showed us.
I just went with that.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
had
say
the
he showed us
pleasure-
that.
I had the pleasure of Joe taking us up there on the catwalk there. I
Right.
think he had 26 1,000 watt lights at the time. The heat that was coming out of these things there last
Yeah.
there
Those old
was
bad
amazing.
boy halide, right? I think he uses 20Ks and 10K, and he uses some Ushio 14s. You can't even buy an Ushio anymore.
No.
Those halide bulbs, man. Those radium 20K. Some of those bulbs were the greatest looking bulbs of all time. If you,
I mean, they grew everything though.
and you
But
know
if you
back,
burn the hell
they
out of
go in
yourself,
tanks, right?
you burn the hell. I burned my arm the first time
get
I went
suntan.
into
I've done that a few times on metal halides.
Oh
Yeah.
man. But
Not to mention they heat up your tank like forget it, you know. I have the reef tanks especially. You don't want them going over that 80, 81, 82 tops, you know, and you just couldn't control that with the metal halides. I got the LEDs now. It runs at 77, 78 all the time.
Big chiller.
Yeah.
Big chiller with metal halides. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
well also your tank's at least 9 feet in depth. And like you say, even now, you know, we got electricians here, we got people that deal with lightings. For the longest, we've never dealt with par. We've dealt with spectrum. We've dealt with watts per gallon. I mean, every generation of aquarium keeper have had their
meters now. They measure. It's great.
But
BRX,
you know,
all these measurements.
But you made a good point. Now you have to cover a wide area of tank. We're not talking about 6 feet. We're not talking about 4 feet, 10 feet. LEDs are very direct light.
But yes, they don't spread out.
They're very downward, like
even though some of the new ones have diverters that go like 120, they still don't go out that much.
Yeah, so you end up with, I see people with like 10 radions.
Like the size of basketballs. And that's why we have rows that are down and rows that are angled.
Yeah.
Just for that reason. And we've dove in here with the par meter and we're reasonably comfortable. This is going to be fine now.
I'm sure there was a lot of
500 and 200 par.
I'm sure a lot of thought going into a lot of this stuff before you even started and things. You know, like I said, you went from a decent sized tank to this tank. It's not like you say, "Oh, I need a little bigger light." How did you figure out lighting, the pumps, all this stuff? Yeah.
You hire consultants. You hire smart people that know how to go get the answer.
Okay.
Because you don't have the hobby doesn't have the answer. The aquarium industry has the answer. Industrial people, Richard Ross has the answer. Joe Arillo has the answer. And there's no published thing. It's what they've tried.
All right.
Yeah.
So you just
Tulio. I know Tulio's really good. We talk about lights for hours. But like you say, did you want to shout out your aquarium guy up there? I know he was at the house before. We got to shout him out.
Yeah. The guy that built my tank and was the GC of most of the project. It was a guy named Jonathan Hale of Country Critters.
Oh, okay.
So Jonathan, he designed the tank, and boy, he really contacted several engineers and sand specialists and weight specialists and floor specialists. You can't imagine. You can't imagine what is involved in this thing that you wouldn't expect.
No, we really can't. Everybody can say you can't. You can't imagine this. What was your biggest obstacle? Your biggest problem that you went through with this whole building this tank?
Well, we had 2 leaks.
Wow.
We had 2 leaks in the process. That was not fun.
No.
And one of them, they came and re-gutted the tank and drained the thing and literally resanded, repainted, re-siliconed, basically built me a new tank from the inside out. That was, cumulatively, that may have cumulatively been almost a year delay, Yeltsin.
Wow.
2 weeks combined. And then stupid things like, okay, do you want to heat the room the sub basement because it gets 40, 50
Right.
degrees in there in the winter? Or do you want to heat the water in the RO so that the room gets heated? And how are we going to heat this RO water up fast if we need it in emergency? And all of a sudden, you got to come up with millions of BTUs and plumb in massive boilers and bury cesspools to do water changes. It was a much bigger engineering job than you expect. And then even to have the tanks underneath the floor and make the floor level, 100% level, so you don't stub and kill yourself when you open up the lids. Just stupid stuff like that is something you would never think of, but
No, of course not. Yeah. What made you go down instead of just staying grade level with the floor like that? The look, or is it something?
I think we wanted 3 and a fraction feet of clearance on the top.
Okay.
You see me, guys? I don't see you
Yep.
guys. All right.
I got you.
We wanted 3 and a fraction clearance on top, so we had a catwalk to at least crawl. And we wanted to see, we didn't want to see the water line when we stood up. And then the question was, how much can we go down? And then we decided basically that if we went down too far, you would lose fish in the water level.
Oh,
They'd be
okay.
down, and you would. So we figured out that this was about the right ratio, 2 feet down.
Wow. So like I said, there's a lot of how long did it take you? How much time do you spend before you even started, like just going through all this?
There was about a year and a half to 2 years of approvals, things we needed, variances, models done on the rock work. Like Joe and Laura, they built me models in an acrylic box,
Really?
of little rocks. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, and build a model where you can see on 3 sides. It's another challenge. You can't do the rockscape that you think you're going to do.
yeah.
You need to see it from 3 angles.
Well, that is an ongoing challenge with hobbyists everywhere. No matter how much you plan, no matter what you think you're going to put
Always
in,
something. Yep.
something always throws
Yep.
your curveball. Like, have you had that thing that you wish you could go back and change?
Yeah, I would just hope that somebody told me it was double or triple the time and double or triple the dollars. That's all you need to know. That's construction 101.
Yeah, those estimates are never really close, right?
And whatever you
Buy,
get, you need
standard
you
paint or
you need
something,
more.
right?
Whatever you get, you need more. Like, oh, I need one more tank to quarantine. Oh, I need another one.
That's
So when
what
I
happened.
separate this from this,
Or the skimmer, the equipment you bought doesn't perform. We had a couple performance things where we were like, we're going to change this. I had a skimmer, a big Bermuda skimmer. It worked fine. It just wasn't doing enough water volume. So we called MRC in, and they came in and built me new skimmers. That was a whole deal.
MRC to the rescue.
That's probably one of the parts that people in saltwater tanks skimp on, and I've done it, and it bites you in the ass in the long run. A skimmer is such an important part. I've went through probably 5 or 6 cheap ones before I finally bought a good one. And you start with the $100 ones, and you end up with the $1,000 ones, and you see why that $1,000. You see what they do.
Yeah.
I remember Red Sea. Red Sea will never mention the prism again. I think I had 3 of those.
Yeah.
Remember the Red Sea prism?
I've had that, the Cyclone, and a bunch of other ones.
What was the other one, Steve? The Skilter?
Cyclone.
Remember, it's a
Cyclone.
filter and a skimmer. The Skilter.
Oh, yes.
And no knock on the companies. It's not a knock on the companies, but
No, it's
these
just
things go through an evolution.
You know why?
You
Because
know?
they're trying to build something for an affordable that you're going to use that the average person's going to buy. The average person's not going to go out and spend $1,000 on a skimmer. It's not going to do it. So they want those $100 ones. So they ask, do they work? Yeah, they work. Do they work great? They work like a $100 skimmer. You get what you pay for. That expression, "get what you pay for." It's definitely they make talking about skimmers.
Be in a position like Worldwide Corals is in, which is you buy the most amazing stuff you can, and if it
sort
cleans it
through
too
it.
much, they shut their skimmers off a couple hours a day.
Yeah. They have a beautiful. Have you gone to their I haven't gone to their new facility.
I have.
I went to the old one, Steve.
Yeah.
The family, we were all at Disney. I literally left the family for a day. I was like, dude, you got to spend a day in there. And that was Andrew will tell you, that was the old facility. The new one is three times bigger.
The one's beautiful.
The new one, their frag room is bigger than most stores in
And
New
you
York.
can just walk in that place, or
it's a store.
I think if you would ask them, they would say that we now clean our tanks too much. These skimmers are so efficient and so crazy. They've really like cut back on even using them.
Yeah,
you know what? I think that really depends on the coral, because we've had this conversation one time before with Pat Donston, and we were talking about elegance. And elegance used to do well, and now they don't do well. And he says, you know why? Because the water's too clean. They need some stuff in their water.
Yeah.
But then there's other coral that you don't keep the water, and they don't do well. So
but you got to remember, they don't have massive amounts of fish in their coral things. Okay.
No. No.
So it's a little different than this.
Cool.
No, absolutely. You can't. Most people that have reef tanks don't put a lot of fish in them because of that.
Right.
You need a better quality of water for a reef tank. We all know that,
Yes.
So right skimmers, UVs, and doing your water changes, and a combination of a lot of things.
Although there's a lot of people that are in the anti-water change camp lately.
I know.
I'm kind of on the fence to that. In one tank, I'm doing minimal water changes. In other tanks, I'm changing, and I'm seeing some coral, like Steve says, some coral are 100% tolerant, or they develop tolerance.
Yeah, that might be too.
Over time.
That might be.
And then you take an acro.
You think it's tolerance or whatever you think it is. It may be more about stability and
that too
than tolerance. Like, you don't even know what it is.
You don't really know what it is. Like, people are going for zero. People are going for zero nutrient systems, and I was like, Earth doesn't work like that. Like, where in the Earth can you find no pollution? Like, I mean, like, no outside. But everybody has the theory, and many people's way works. So,
but again, we can have 10 tanks set up, and all tanks look nice, and there's just a certain coral you can't grow, and a certain coral you can grow, and that could be the reason. They just coral, like any animals, they need different perimeters or different parameters.
There is a scientific reason why that exists. You just can't ask them.
We haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
Well, Heather asks, what is your end goal, and what are you adding, and how will you know when you're done with this tank as a project?
You didn't say tanks. How do you know when you're done?
Like, how do you know when you're done? Like, with any tank, like with the smaller, I built a smaller tank just because I knew I was gonna have my hands in it and take it apart. But like in your tank, it's big. Like, you had to add the one more fish. When do you feel like
I don't have that impulse like other people anymore. I'm out of that impulse. So if there's a species that like I really want and I need to get, that's fine. But I don't have any impulse. Trust me, everything I add in this tank right now is a potential disease breaker, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like, I don't even want.
That's true.
I don't like it anymore. Now,
Yeah.
on the coral side, look, I'm gonna quarantine, and we're gonna dip, and we're gonna send copper bands and melanarises to the rescue for a little bit and clean up. But at the end of the day, I'm going to try to get some coral in this tank and grow it. And we'll figure out whether or not I have to remove fish like butterflies or whatever, or maybe we can't grow it and only certain things will grow. And maybe I'm looking at anemones and gorgonians. Like, this thing will morph the way it's going to morph, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Upstairs, when I'm building the office tank, I'm going to try to build a nice reef-safe coral reef and focus more on the corals. And my wife says I'm done when we move to Florida.
Then you just built the whole house is just water world. It'll be like Kevin Costner.
Does the tank come with the house if you're selling the house?
What's that?
Does the tank come with the house when you're selling it? There ain't no way to get it out anymore.
The guy that buys has to love it.
Aquarium or is going to be pulling a lot of PVC out.
No, you tell them it's an indoor pool with mermaids. You get your real estate agent to wear a mermaid suit and swim around in there.
Yeah. Wow.
Spending money in this house now, just in general, is a source of angst because you almost start seeing the handwriting on the wall. Like, you know, you don't want to die in New York just because they kill you in the estate tax. Like, you know, you got to live. You got to die in Florida.
You know, my old boss says, he says, all the Floridians get up early in the morning. You know why they get up? They have breakfast in the morning to count who's not there.
Right.
They don't meet for breakfast in the morning. Whoever's not there, well, I guess Betty didn't make it.
He didn't make it. You know,
Well, if anything, you move to Florida.
It's probably a healthier lifestyle down there.
I'm
They're
sure,
outside,
yeah.
the
Sure.
golfing, the tennis, the walking, whatever. Probably adds another year and a half to your life. Maybe.
Well, what we spend on houses in New York, I could buy a 10,000 gallon tank.
Just
Yeah,
for
the problem is now
Just for
Florida is
tax
coming up and up
savings.
as it's going along.
Yeah, because all the New Yorkers are going down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the problem really with
Well,
Florida
these-
and
if
fish
we
tanks, all
think
right?
about it.
There's the basement issue. There's no basements.
Right.
No, well,
So
some
that's a
places
whole thing.
you just basically have to expand your house,
You gotta
which,
go along this way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you go to Florida and you put a glass in the wall out to the ocean. You buy some of the water and you can see everything. No
Right.
maintenance. You don't take care of it.
Well, there is a guy, I forgot his name. I spoke to him at Magna, I guess it had to be 2 or 3 years ago. He actually had a natural seawater tank where he had the outside water go into filtration and
I see
filter his
it
room.
all the time. I saw it in fish tanks and clam systems in Tahiti.
Yeah.
Literally, I bullshit you not. It's just a PVC pipe
Out to the thing.
out and in.
Yeah, no water change
It's
necessary.
just gotta be out far enough. The aquarium does that here.
Yeah,
We've
but
been in the
Tahiti
basement there.
doesn't
They have
matter.
pipes that
Water's
run all the way
clear.
out.
Tahiti, it doesn't matter. You can do it right there.
Well, Tahiti, yeah. Tahiti, just put a glass on the bottom of your house and look down through the floor.
Right, right.
I think Naomi Campbell's house is like that in Jamaica. I think it's
that
Jamaica,
right?
wherever that she
mean,
has it. It's above ground.
The Atlantis in Bahamas.
Yeah, Paradise
Yeah.
Island.
Open water system. The
Yep,
water
yep,
comes
I've been
into
there.
The basement. The water does get ozoned and filtered before it enters, but nevertheless, yeah.
In fact, I'm at a restaurant there with my wife, and the waitress comes over and I says, "Oh, it's an artificial reef." She goes, "No, that's a real reef."
No,
I said,
that's the reef.
I said, the coral there's fake coral. But it's so funny because the tank has dividers, so you'll see like sharks here and then small fish here,
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I says, "No, look, that's not a reef, that's artificial." She goes, "No, it's not." No, she's arguing. My wife says, "What are you arguing with about?" So she walks away, she comes back, she's like, "I talked to the manager, you're right, it's artificial." She's like,
Steve just got the woman fired.
I can't help it. If I see something, I gotta say something.
You know what she's doing now? She's cleaning the reef now.
Yeah.
Out there with a toothbrush.
You mean Atlantis is not natural?
I went
that-
there
oh.
in the early years. They were still building the Atlantis. They were still building
Yeah, I
part of
saw
the
it.
aquarium.
And
Yeah, and I remember
big
when they
guy
were,
there.
when they were expanding the
Digging that-
casino part.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I was like, they're going to build this into the casino, and I couldn't even fathom
Very cool.
how
Very
you're
cool.
bringing that water in.
Yeah.
You
Like-
have no that whole open water system is a completely different skill set than a closed system.
It's crazy.
It's not even. It's like playing backgammon at chess. It's not the same game.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a certain amount of turnover that they do, and a certain amount of ozone zapping that they do coming in, and that's it. That's it.
You use ozone on your tank?
Yeah, we use some ozone. Frankly, and I got plenty of war stories with ozone. We just find when the water, you look through such a big water column, if it's not really clear,
You need more.
it's annoying. And by the way, if you put it in a normal 300-gallon tank, it's clear as hell. It's the extra glass, And so we find that if we're running 1.5 grams maybe, and we don't keep the ORP above 350. Like it's just for water clarity on one of my skimmers.
Oh,
And I'm sure, like I have a couple of gem tangs. There's plenty of fish in here, not plenty. Some species that are getting a little lateral line. I know it's from the ozone.
yeah.
I mean, that caused that?
And it just
I didn't realize that it caused that.
Well, you don't use carbon, do you?
Yeah, we actually use it
'Cause-
in a tight reactor, pretty slow.
I did that experiment for
Yeah.
college. I did an experiment in 7 out of 10 tests.
Got it.
I got lateral line from the carbon.
Yeah. So
From
It's
something
carbon.
from the carbon.
definitely,
I
definitely,
tested it
definitely.
over
I don't use carbon on my
months?
wheat, but I never heard of that.
2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kept getting carbon marks on the yellow tangs,
The
and I was
old-time
like, how
guys
can I get it?
Never want you to use carbon with tanks. Never.
I don't,
The
and
old-time
and
guys.
and we really do it. So I don't run it full time now, but I did that for 2 months. No, June, July, 3 months. I ran similar size 40 gallons, and I had the same tank with carbon. When I put the carbon in it, within days, the water got clearer and the fish got the marks.
Yes,
And I was like, it's carbon.
you know, there
And
is
you see it in aquariums a lot.
One carbon that we think. I mean, everyone knows there's. What's the best tuna chicken? The best tuna, the best carbon is Rock's 0.8 from BRS.
I've used that. Yeah.
It's very wicked strong, and still the fish can get lateral line with it, but it takes a lot of tumbling and nonsense to do it.
Yeah.
And we run the carbon really for different reasons. Like, we tested an ICP. There's so much metal in the pipes and this and that, boilers. I just want to get rid of the heavy metals, that whole issue. So we run it for a different reason.
But you have it through a slow reactor too.
Very slow reactor. And I'm not sure if I took it off, whether it might be good, it might be bad. We haven't tried it. It's always been on. But
you have it on full time?
It's on full time.
Yeah, I set it. I have it in the
die.
apex. I have it set in the apex to run, I think every 3 days. Well, it's every 8 hours or something crazy. It doesn't run 24 hours. It runs for like 8 hours and then turns off because you can't keep the stagnant water in there either.
Of course, there's another theory that you don't want to run ozone without having carbon because you need to pick up the excess blah, 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 ozone molecule. Otherwise, your bromine is going to become toxic. So that's a whole, there are people that run ozone outlet over their carbon so there's no residual ozone. But the problem with that is it actually breaks the carbon up, causes more dust.
And that brings on another complicated question. I don't want to be too complicated, but not really a question, but I know we had people out here that never heard of ICP tests. When you're adding things like ozone and running certain levels of carbon, unless you're getting an ICP test, you won't know how much bromine you have in it. Like, I didn't know why I was getting copper. Like, when I got the ICP test, I says, well, how come I have copper in my tank? Where is it coming from? It could be coming from the food. It could be coming from anything.
Yep. We discovered some tin and aluminum.
Aluminum, that's what it was.
Filters that rust. Like we were using a pool filter with a ring inside that was not stainless, and we saw the rust and we knew it. And literally, we took huge reactors and filled them up with GFO and cuparamine. Cuparamine absorbs a lot of that stuff too, even though it's for copper. So CChem, thank you very much for that cuparamine. But we solved that problem. We it absorbed right through, and then you get the source out. That's the key. Otherwise, you'll have the problem over and over and over again. So all our pumps are now titanium shafts and blah blah blah.
Any equipment failures?
That UV, when the drips and the zaps, and that UV scares me.
That's scary.
That's the one. That's the one. Chubb. When Chubb walks around the house, they don't like that one.
I put the I was testing leak sensors. So I bought the Wi-Fi leak sensor because I said, my wife, I've caught leaks once in a blue. Lucky you catch them. But I'm in my house last week and I'm like, beep, 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 beep. And I was like, what the hell is that noise? I've had it in the house so long.
Right, you forget.
And my daughter says, I think it's coming from the fish tank. And I was like, well, what could
That's
be
a
beep?
scary noise, D. That's
And then I looked on the phone and it says leak sensed under the Brooklyn.
yeah.
But so now they have Wi-Fi leak sensors, and it's sensors so small. Like technology has come a long way. Like, do you have things like that around?
Oh,
Like,
trust me. If something goes wrong with a flow or an engine slows down, or we get emails and text alerts now, right? And now I got the computer to wake me up with a cell phone call if we don't answer the text.
oh yeah, if you don't answer the
yeah. They call
Wow.
the cell phone number. But yeah, there ain't nothing worse than on Sunday, 11 o'clock at night to see a low sump level alert. Like that's
Yeah.
you need the Xanax right there.
It's worse when you get alerts when you're not near your house.
Yeah, sometimes that sucks too.
So I was telling Andrew, I says a couple of months ago, I was telling Ryan, we had Ryan on here. Andrew was on the Reef Collective when we were talking about Ryan is an electrician, like Steve's electrician. He is so tech, like he wants to monitor his tank. And I'm like the complete opposite. I have to just look at it like, okay, it's not clear enough. I need a new car. Like he gets so many notifications. Like you ever feel overloaded? Like I'm getting notifications. I was getting notifications from the Apex every half hour or every hour where I was like, okay, my email is loaded all day with notifications.
We actually have an override button now when we do maintenance, right? So when we lower the sump or cut the flows, whatever, there's a button that says, "Don't send me this. We're working on the tank."
Okay.
It was crazy. I'd be working trading stocks and I'd see all these alerts pop on my phone every 5 seconds. And I knew that the boys were downstairs cooking soup, or doing a water change or whatever. People they'll say to me, "How do you? If I live there, that room?" No, you don't understand. I need to leave the room because I need a vacation from the tank. Like I'm with it all the time. I look at it differently than other people. I look at it critically. I look at it perfectionist attitude. I look at it like, is that fish scratching or not? Like, I start seeing things.
I'm scratching.
Right. I start seeing things. So I need to leave. And when I go away on the weekend to a lake house, I'm leaving my tank on purpose.
We got to get you those 360 cams set up. I show you guys. I'm at work we had the pandemic. I was working the vaccination hub. I was working those hubs, and I'm like, man, I'm working 16-hour like shit. I'm like, if I get a notification, I can't see. So I got these 360 cams. It's just so easy. You hit a button on your phone. I can turn the camera from my phone. I can say, okay, Tori, no, right there. Go down to the left. Yeah, that thing right there. You can see it and talk to them through these and they're so affordable.
Do you fish talk back?
Oh, when that day comes, I better be going to Florida. to the rubber room down in Florida.
You said you talk to them, so.
But yeah, now we can monitor. We can see it. And we can talk to people there, or they can call us and we can see what they're doing and everything. It's just come a long way.
Listen, we know we're serious hobbyists. When you go away on vacation, you book your vacation. The first thing you think about, who's going to take care of my tank? What do I got to do, before I go? And you start to worry about all these things. Do I have enough top off water in the reservoir? And who's going to feed them? And what happens? Something goes wrong. And
that's a good question too. Yeah.
Here, right? So that's never an issue. I have great staff. Yeltsin has been with me. That's a great American story. He's around sometime. He was my driver. I hired him in 2000. He's gone from driver to marine biologist now.
He's got my dream job.
Yeah. So he's around other than Sundays, and even Sundays, they got 3-4 people watching the computers and trained other staff how to feed the fish. So if I wanted to get the hell out of town, I could do it. No problem. Not being a slave to the tank is a good thing. If you could do it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
really
again,
helps.
starting. I've been keeping tanks
Shout out to Yelp.
since I'm 10 years old,
Oh, I
and
probably spelled it wrong,
you
but
always you always try to find things to make things easier. I mean, for a long time, I saw it. I was dumping water in it every day. Like when I got an automatic top off. Just simple things like that. A wiper for your skim and things. Something that makes it less maintenance. And no matter how much you do, you're always looking for something else. How to make it easier.
Yeah.
now, how do you top off? Do you have an auto top off
My
reservoir in there?
top off is very, very simple. It's very simple in this tank. We evaporate 45 gallons a day.
Ooh.
We fill up a Chemvac bucket of 45 gallons.
Okay, simple.
Okay, every day we fill it with RO water. We dump a cup and a half of caulk water in there, right? And literally at night we open the valve. It's a drip
Perfect.
valve, and it drips on overnight, and then in the morning it's empty, and that's it.
Wow.
And if there's some variation in the, one day evaporates 50 or 42, we just take care of it with additional RO, during the day.
It's not going to make much of a difference in a 17,000 gallon tank with a few gallons, right?
No.
Right.
And then some things are good to do the old-fashioned way.
That's an old-fashioned way, right?
Now, one thing we're going to have to do down the road, because when we started, we were talking about SIGs and tank room tours. I know the Long Island Aquarium Society. If you guys are dropping the ball, look, Brooklyn Aquarium Society, we'll schedule a tour, a tank tour. We got to bring refreshments or booze or whatever the heck we got to bring over there, music or whatever we got to do. We're happy to do that. I mean,
I'm happy to do it. Last year I was supposed to host a Long Island Reef Association thing, and then the COVID thing happened. So we never had it. I'm happy to do it, and the time to do it is soon, because the summertime I like to be in the lake on the weekends.
if I got to wear a diver's helmet, I would show up at the house and the freaking
Come on over and
with the what is that Jacques Cousteau helmet on. But the other guy we got to get in at a regular talk, and we could just talk tanks or whatnot. We got to get David on the West Coast here, because I don't know. We didn't bring Dave to the Brooklyn Aquarium Society. He was on the Reef Collective,
right,
with his outdoor system. And I know Dave was telling me that Dave has an outdoor and indoor multiple 100-gallon reef system that runs outside and is powered by the sun. He has amazing coral.
I saw something about that. Yeah.
Amazing pieces. And he's sending some to New York for Andrew's system. But now, are you going to put those in this system, or are you doing some? So we're gonna really have to look at that.
We are very close to D-Day.
Got the parameters where you want them.
I'm waiting for 800 pounds of live rock from Australia, and I'm waiting for it, and then I'll probably quarantine it. So it's going to be another few weeks, 6 weeks after we get it. It's actually coming in a few weeks. The thesis is you got to add a lot of new live rock that the fish go picking on as you're adding the new coral.
Oh, so
otherwise they all pound on whatever's new.
Yeah.
So we're going to be adding 20 new pieces, but we're going to add 20 new pieces of fresh live rock to the sponge that they're going to go crazy on at the same time and divert the attention.
So they don't kick a pound of sand on your new coral like mine did the other day.
Right. So
well, beautiful chalice. It's covered in sand. I wanted to kick that fish.
Right.
So that is going to be interesting. I can't wait for that project.
I mean, we're gonna introduce it, and then literally have a scuba diver around in case you like that piece. Those butterflies are demolished, and we have to get it out of there. There are sometimes you just know.
We can get Joe in a scuba suit. We're people that pay for that.
Yeah.
True.
We get him in a little black seal suit. That way we could throw lettuce at him too down there. You could feed the tanks, throw lettuce at him. Oh, hold on. I gotta talk to the fishes here. Let me mute myself before Google goes crazy.
Hey, D, what happened to the Reef Collective. You guys broke up, or your mic is off? You back?
Well, yeah, I'm back.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I heard you. I was
Okay.
multitasking. The Reef Collective, Ryan was starting a new job. I was working uncontrollable hours in the vaccination hub. So I was called to work on weekends where I was literally in the car getting people to cover for me to try to get home. We were doing so many things. Plus, I'm trying to manage the Aquarium Society's monthly meeting, and it was too much. Like I was probably the reason I had to go. Like if they were going to try to do it amongst themselves, but you spread yourself thin. And then the NEC's virtual convention I was working on for the last 2 months, it was just too much. It couldn't do all of those things
There's
and
no
then keep it up.
There's no nasty real story. There's just the real story.
No, everybody has their own story.
I
Everybody has their own story. That's the correct story, and that's the reason I had to leave. It was just too much. I was literally leaving work at like trying to race home for 9 o'clock. And then, and where I'm working in New York, I don't always get that option of leaving.
That was on
Like
Saturday.
if I get
that was a Saturday evening, right?
yeah, and at 9, but I don't always have a boss that is like, sometimes the sergeant isn't the cool one. He's like, F you, you're mandated. And it's like, okay, what am I gonna do?
I bet you had high ratings though during COVID.
Well, people couldn't do anything. People couldn't go out. People couldn't meet. We couldn't meet. The good thing is, Ryan's in Canada, Sean's on the West Coast. Yeah. I'm in New York. We had multiple resources that we pulled together. It was a good team, but then everybody's doing their own thing. Yeah, and that in itself, once everybody's working on different projects, I mean, Ryan was on lockdown, so he's available, but okay, now he's working in another job in another place, and I couldn't do it. I was doing it, and I was literally like sleeping one day, like Sunday. I was working 6 days a week.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, everybody is asking if the Reef Collective will get back together. Maybe it will. I don't know if it's in the cards.
Like the old bands, like they would break up and they come
back. maybe we'll do a Hell Freezes Over tour.
Right.
Everything is in the car. All good things in time. But yeah, my wife says I'm a nut because I don't say no. I try to volunteer for everything. And then I got sick. Then I got COVID. Yeah. So I was literally trying to do that and getting a shot and working 6 days. The doctor said, "You wonder why you got sick." What are you gonna do? So that was my signal. That was my signal to you better slow down, buddy.
Okay.
Now, do you ever feel overwhelmed you got your occupational work, and then you have tank work, and then you have life, you have family. I mean, your kids are older, but
everybody gets overwhelmed sometimes with things.
I would say if I didn't have the staff to walk away, I'd be overwhelmed.
Because that's a lot.
I'd be overwhelmed. Yet somehow, I enjoy Saturday and Sundays a lot more than Monday through Fridays. Whether it's because I'm working in a stock market or whatever, I would much prefer dealing and hanging out here or whatever than working. But
wouldn't we all?
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't we all?
You get overwhelmed when you do it to yourself or when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Other than that, people have been saying, when are you getting corals in the tank? You told me it was January. Now it's June. You know what? It doesn't matter. We're turning the Titanic here. I'm telling you, it's how many stories I know of guys that call me for chloroquine phosphate in emergencies because their fish are sick and they threw in fish that were quarantined or whatever. You hear me, D?
Yeah, I was talking to Google and I didn't want it to screw you guys up.
In any event, like they put the fish through quarantine and they wait the 6 weeks out in leaving it fallow, and literally on 6 weeks in one day, they have 40 fish on order to fill their tank because they can't wait to kill more fish.
It's rough.
I feel like there's a little bit of impatience in this hobby that
There's a lot.
People need to chill.
Yep.
People are always looking for a shortcut, and there's not always there. As a club, that's one of the things about the club. We're supposed to be teaching people how to keep tanks, not to kill their fish. And you get people to come in that'll give you an argument like, I haven't done a water change in 3 years. I don't need to. And then next day I come in, they say, my tank bombed out. Why did it bomb out? Because you haven't done a water change in 3 years, But I have a really good filter, Pat Dotson, again, when he talked one time, he gave an example one time. He says, let's say this room was filled with water 3 feet high, and we're going to live in here for a month, and we're all going to do our business in here and everything. We have a great filter. Do you still want to live in there? He goes, without changing the water?
I don't even want to think of going to swimming pools for fear of people peeing in them.
Right.
It's like, no, Pat.
Listen, when I started as a kid, I didn't know you're supposed to change water. Every 6 months, I tore the tank apart and did it up and got more fish and changed it because I only had a few tanks and I always wanted all different fish, And then as you go along, you try to find the better ways. You try to invest yourself into it where knowledge of it.
Is that impulse to I want to put the fish in now?
Yeah,
takes people out of the hobby.
Yeah, because bad things happen fast. I mean, the worst thing that drives me nuts, and I've trained myself to get the hell out of there, is when I go to the store and I see the parent with the kid, the tank in their hand, and they're already picking out
fish
the
and
everything. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know where you're gonna put the tank yet. you don't even know where the water. Like it's not even.
Listen, that's one of the biggest mistakes. You put it near a window. You don't level your tank. Then you wonder why it leaks. Like I said, get the tank set. Get it in space. And people think the smaller tank is easier. The small tanks are harder to keep than a bigger tank because if something goes wrong with a heater or a filter, small tanks bomb out quickly.
I see more posts on the internet of people that put clownfish in initially without quarantining.
Yep.
And the Brooknella, it's like instant Brooknella. The fish is loaded with whatever, and the tank is contaminated. And if I was putting in clownfish, I would nuke them for 3 months in chloroquine phosphate, dip them again in bleach. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, now
I wouldn't go in my tank until they were nuked, Chernobyl style.
Well, now people assume that they're all aquacultured, but you don't even know what the system.
A lot of them are,
but you don't even know what the system they're coming out of.
Right.
It was,
once they go through the wholesales, it's over.
Yeah.
Listen, when Nemo first came out, they were very popular. One of the fish stores is telling me, you get a lady come in and she buys 2 clownfish. Next week she comes in, she buys 2 more. It's finally by the 4th week. I'm like, what? You got a big tank? She goes, no, I got a little bowl. She goes, but they keep there's salt water. She goes, yeah, I put kosher salt in the water. She told me.
Kosher salt.
Oh man,
she was killing them.
Put kosher salt in there.
I had another lady one time. She says, the tank's empty. I went in the house. So why's your tank empty? She goes, I don't know. I take it apart every week and wash it down palm olive and the fish die.
So they have soft fins while she does dishes.
I
think we're doing that joke every month now.
Companies that do quarantine for you, that do a good job, like TSM or I guess Elliott Lim and Marine. There are a few of these places that do the protocol, and yet their businesses they don't thrive because people don't want to pay the premium for the quarantine fish.
That's the thing.
And it's not a great business. Like they spend a lot of money on chemicals and power and whatever, and to get a 20-30% whatever the number is, it's not enough.
Yeah, because that was another question too. That people were saying, where do you get your fish from? I mean, regardless of where you get your fish, I know you quarantine them.
Back room and get nuked, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, he's nuking everything. Yeah, they come from.
And just so everybody knows, nuke doesn't mean stick them in the microwave.
Yeah, no. But if that works,
gotta be clear here.
The live stream told me to nuke my fish. Maybe that's a technology we haven't tried yet. Next year there'll be microwave for fish quarantine. Imagine, that would be crazy. But man, I tell you, I'm looking at the clock. We have been on here for almost 2 hours. It's an hour and 40 minutes. I don't want to drive this everybody to drink. I do want to. I want to thank Andrew for coming on the show. I can never see enough of his tank, and I know he is an avid hobbyist and does a lot for his local clubs and things like that. So it's a lot of work and it takes time to set all this up. And I appreciate him sharing it with us.
And by the way, the invitation to visit and the tours is still. Let's do it.
So Brooklyn Aquarium
David,
Society.
set it up. You tell me when.
All right, we're gonna set it up Brooklyn Aquarium Society style. Joe's gonna get the mermaid outfit. You know, do one of these a couple of times.
Nobody wants to see that.
Getting him in is the easy part. Getting him out of it. So
you need someone very agile for that job.
That's not me.
We appreciate you spending your time on it.
Jonathan's fiance is my diver, Michelle Hope. I don't know whether you guys know her. She runs the store in Long Island, and like she had a back operation and couldn't dive for me for a while. Like you get blown around in here. Like it's serious business.
Yes. Yeah, what did you say? Is 10 horsepower pumps?
You get blown around. Yeah. You get blown around. You need a lot of weight belts and so forth.
Now this is funny because BC said they live in French Polynesia and you live there. You want 1,000-gallon freshwater tank because you're surrounded by saltwater.
That's probably right.
That's so funny. But we will wrap it up. I'll thank everybody for tuning in. We guys have kept you on longer than we ever expect to keep you on there. Next live stream, second Friday of the month. Check out the new Brooklyn Aquarium Society YouTube channel. Check out Andrew his Facebook page, Andrew Sandler's Facebook page. He posts the best music videos of the tank. He posted a water change on there. If you don't see it, check it out now. He had the water change on there. If you want to see a 4,000-gallon water change, you got to go check that out. You're only going to see it there. I'm not going to post it because I want you to see it on his channel. And until next time, anybody else have anything?
No, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us.
Looking forward
to
your visitors.
You got it.
We're going to say thank you, everybody. And that's it, people. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Care, Andrew. Bye-bye.